So, if you guys recall, Trump's on his third indictment now, and the most recent one, the one which is directly about his sending of a fake set of elector slates over to DC and the January 6th thing, to overwrite the results of a Democratic election. One of the conditions of the indictment papers brought against him from the judge who is very likely to sentence him harshly should he be found guilty, was that he had to restrict his behavior concerning witnesses in the case. And on Truth Social, Trump then went ahead and he attacked Mike Pence. So this is a little bit abstract here, okay? We're very used to Donald Trump getting away with basically everything that he's ever done. And this comes across as relatively minor compared to a lot of the stuff that he's done in the past. So why throw a fit about this? Well, he's now under order from a judge, right? Like, he has a legal obligation to follow this order. It's not like, we're not talking about a standard of decorum. We're not talking about what we expect him to behave like. We're talking pretty plainly about, actual legal consequences. He said this, so I mean, I can read it if you want, but it's mostly just him attacking Mike Pence. I don't really care about the content of this. This isn't explicitly against the indictment, but he's also attacked the judge, which is not surprising at all. I mean, the judge is an Obama appointee, a black woman, and a kind of person based on her treatment of the January 6th rioters who would not, take kindly to Donald Trump's behavior. And he also said, and I'm having trouble finding a screenshot of this, which is strange because I thought I'd be able to find it immediately. He said, essentially, if you f with me, I'll f with you. Why can I not find that? Can somebody find that screenshot for me? That's why I'm talking in circles right now. I'm delaying. I'm buying for time while I try to find... I am so sorry. I just got distracted for a second. This is a photo of a Trump supporter who threatened to shoot poll workers and has been sentenced to prison. And I swear to God, I thought that his face and beard and stuff were shaved into the back of his head, that he was facing the wall behind him, and this was like somebody had shaved and then put the glasses on. For a split second, I thought that. Does anyone understand? Or is this just me? Does anyone understand? I saw one yep. Yeah, it's like the face and the neck are at the same... Okay, yeah. Whew. Okay. Right. Thank you. Who posted it? The Leftist Redneck. Thank you. He truthed, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. So, again, Donald Trump has gotten away with basically everything he's ever done for his entire life. But there's a very different set of expectations set in him now, okay? The weight of judicial orders. Now, in my opinion, if you go after me, I'm coming after you, is an unambiguous threat in the context of his indictment. It's very difficult to read that in another way. The indictment literally said, no witness tampering, don't talk with these people who are involved. And then not only does he explicitly name Mike Pence, who is guaranteed to be involved in the trial, it's Mike Pence. But also, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. Talking shit about the judge is allowed, I'm pretty sure. We're in a very precarious situation here, folks. What Donald Trump is betting on is that he's powerful enough that the judge understands that going after Trump early and putting him in jail while waiting out the court date would cause unimaginable civil unrest in this country. Because that's what would happen. Violating the terms of that indictment would mean that the police come, they arrest him, and they keep him in jail while waiting for the trial. The conditions that he was held to were the conditions for him being able to move about freely before his actual trial. He's betting on the idea. Well, in all likelihood, it's Donald Trump, so I don't think he's thinking that much. I think he just believes he can get away with anything, and maybe he can here. But he's pushing the line, and I really think that a bad precedent is going to be set if the judge lets him do this. Because I think this more than justifies his arrest. Like, really easily, personally. And I think that by letting him get away with this, what you're essentially saying is, okay, well, we're doing these, legal processes. We're doing our trials. We're doing our arrests, whatever. Okay, but we're still going to give you enough leeway and freedom to intimidate witnesses on the way over. And boy, the intimidation is real, folks. You got to understand, I know that Donald Trump is a wet, sloppy boy, But remember that he has literally millions of people who would probably kill or at least defend killers for him. If Donald Trump starts naming witnesses, naming people directly, impugning them, doing the same kind of covert, coded attacks against them that he did against Mike Pence, you know? The same shit he said on January 6th. He didn't say, go and overturn democracy. He said, go and let the voices be heard, the people, my beautiful pog champs. They are stealing this election. So if he says this shit with the witnesses, you know, they're lying to put me in jail. They want to jail me, your special boy, but I won't let it happen. You have to stop them. None of this is explicitly him calling for the death of witnesses, but we know how it's going to be interpreted, right? Right? I don't think he personally can do anything. I don't think he can be a flight risk because the Secret Service follows him. And stop being uncharitable to Trump. He's going to do a PS5 giveaway on the court the day that Pence gives testimony. Exactly. I think they have to lock him up, folks. I think they have to lock him up. No, I really mean it. Like, I think they have to. Because otherwise you set a standard where Donald Trump gets to edge closer and closer to a line of encouraging violence against witnesses and prosecutors and judges. And not just for him, but co-conspirators too. You really do not want to make it clear that there's any leeway here. He was explicitly told not to do this, and then he immediately went and did this. I don't know if they're going to lock him up, but I think the consequences of him not having that done against him is incredibly dangerous. And that's true, Crane. That's completely true. It will look more arbitrary the longer you let him get away with it. Go now. Arrest him now. Hey, we told you not to do this. Your lawyers read this to you. You went and did it. This is absolutely coded witness intimidation. You talk directly about Mike Pence, who will be a witness. You're going to jail, bucko, and let the unrest happen now. Don't give him time to build it up. Don't say, oh, yeah, we're going to arrest you if you, like, do this thing, and again, do that 7 more times and we'll get you. And Donald Trump is like, they're trying to silence your boy. They said I could only do this 47 times, but I'm not going to listen. Give him time to rile everyone up, to set plans in motion, to get people coordinated and organized, and the threat will only build. You can't let him do that. Trump's lawyers right now? Well, right now, it seems Trump's entire legal team is like a cabal of grifters who are looking to extort as much money as possible from him on his way to the grave, you know? Like, I think that action has to be taken immediately. He's being allowed to do all the same shit that he did in previous, like, look at this. This was from just the other day. No way can I get a fair trial, or even close to a fair trial, in Washington, D.C. There are many reasons for this, but just one is that I am calling for a federal takeover of this filthy and crime-ridden embarrassment to our nation, where murders have just shattered the all-time record. Other violent crimes have never been worse, and tourists have fled. The federal takeover is very unpopular with potential area jurors, but necessary for safety, greatness, and for all the world to see. So first of all, not only is his way of framing the cleanup of DC a federal takeover, the language he's using here actually leans more towards coup language than it does like, as president, I would clean DC. Like, so he is so incautious with his language. He's not even pretending that this would be like him acting as president to, you know, exercise his power to improve the District of DC or whatever. He's just like, when I control this filthy, black-infested, not even a state little place called DC, I will use my unlimited powers to clean the streets. Like, it's so upfront. It's so upfront. He's trying to martyr himself like Hitler did when he's imprisoned. Yeah, and that's the thing. He needs to be imprisoned so that he's not being given time to just build up this huge wave of preparative discontent and antagonism prior to the actual trial. He violated the conditions of the agreement. He has to go to jail. Jack doesn't want him in jail yet, then don't include in your indictment judge orders and stipulations that you know for a fact that this idiot is going to violate. Hey, if you don't want to go to jail, don't intimidate witnesses or talk about these people. Of course, he's immediately going to do this. I don't know. I don't know. Folks, we're getting very, very close to... DeSantis's campaign is cooked. It's all on Trump, and Trump, based on the facts of the case and the judge, is basically guaranteed a guilty verdict and a prison sentence if everything follows the letter of the law in this court case. The GOP knows this. I don't think Trump supporters do. Trump supporters have gotten used to Donald Trump getting his way every time, getting his way out of everything. The GOP may understand how serious this is, but think about it. Do you think the average Republican voter has even read the indictment? No, they don't want them to read the indictment because the indictment makes it clear how obviously wrong Donald Trump was. It makes it clear how often he lied. They don't want them reading the indictment. So the average Trump voter, I don't think they understand that this is real. And Trump is being given time to let them know. You all understand how dangerous that is, right? I think Republican voters should read the indictment, but he's not encouraging them to read the indictment. He's encouraging them to get worked up and potentially use their stochastic terrorist powers to intimidate or even harm witnesses or people involved in the prosecution. Legal Eagle did a video on why they put that restriction on Trump. It's to make sure all the times Trump does it gets submitted into evidence. Sure, for it to get submitted into evidence, that's great, but is there no additional... He's not to do these things. If he violates those orders, that's like a stipulation for his not being in jail. It's not enough to just make note of them. Oh, it's that liberal shit, you know? Actually, by letting Trump spend 6 months rile up his constituency and organize like terrorist militias to intimidate witnesses, we're getting it all on the books. So when we actually get to the trial, you know, then we'll have him cooked. I'm sure there's some argument to what they're doing. I just think that, you know, it's very dangerous to let him run about like this. Trump lawyers tempting fate. Trump's lawyer says he, quote, will be acquitted if Pence testifies. What? Mike Pence will be one of our best witnesses at trial, Lauro said Sunday during an interview on ABC's The Week. I read his book very carefully, and if he testifies consistent with his book, then President Trump will be acquitted. What? Elaborate? I cannot wait until I have the opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Pence, because what he will do is completely eliminate any doubt that President Trump firmly believed the election irregularities had led to an Whether or not Trump believes it is not material to the charges. These are not free speech charges. He is not being charged on lying. He's being charged on interfering with the elector count process. This isn't a free speech case. Dude, I'm telling you, Trump's lawyers know that they're just trying to make money. That's why they keep making arguments that imply that this is a free speech case when it's not, and the indictment specifically says that it's not. They're really just trying to get as much attention and money as possible before they actually get to the court, and then all the lawyers are focusing on the elector count thing. And it's like, well, he believed it. It's like, well, being authentically insane doesn't mean you get to commit crimes. You can't authentically believe that murder is legal and then kill people and then prove you thought it was legal and then you're fine. That's not how that works. Think they know Mike Pence won't do anything? No, Mike Pence will testify against Trump. Mike Pence has firmly cemented his position as an antagonistic force to Trump. You know, why does Mike Pence have blurry sideburns that go all the way down to his jaw? Why? Could you not have just photoshopped Pence next to Trump? Why? This doesn't even look like Pence. Why is he so smooth looking? What? Okay, save those pennies. It would have taken like 2 minutes to Photoshop. Okay. All right. Look at the other shit Trump's posted. Deranged Jack Smith in our highly partisan, very corrupt Department of Injustice could have brought this bidding opponent case years ago, but chose to wait and bring it right in the middle of my election campaign. No way! I hope you're watching, America. Our country is being destroyed. Make America great again. This is from today. Yeah. Again, no way! I love doing that. I love doing that. I love your Trump voice needs serious work. This isn't an attempt at like an authentic Trump. It's sort of morphing into its own like SNL impression tier. I love, yeah, it's super bad. No, I like it. I like doing this is what I'm saying. I like that. I did everything right and they canceled me. That's true. Donald Trump prepared Thursday to travel to Washington to plead not guilty to charges that he tried to steal the 2020 election, his third court arraignment in 4 months. Less than 2 hours before his anticipated arrival, members of the press continue to overwhelmingly outnumber protesters in front of the courthouse. This is one of the reasons why I feel like this case might actually have Donald Trump be cooked. Not only is the judge like an Obama-appointed anti-Jan 6 judge, but also You guys know the jury pool is going to be from DC, right? DC is like 92% Democrat. It's the most Democrat stronghold that exists. Like it's the most Democratist of places. So the jury pool and just the general environment is as anti him as it's possible to be. Yeah, hold on, wait. 2020 election DC vote count. Here we go. 2020 in the District of Columbia. Yeah, look at that. 92% went to Joe Biden. 317,000 votes went to him, and 18,000 went to Trump. It's 92.15% to 5.4%. It is the most Democrat-heavy stronghold. See, here in the dark blue, you have the heavily Democrat areas, which are 90 to 100% Biden. And then over here, you have the less heavily Democrat areas, which are only 80 to 90%, you know. I thought people in D.C. don't get to vote. No, they get to vote. They have electors. They just don't have a state government, and there's some other stuff. It's complicated. D.C. needs to be a state. I wonder why Republicans don't want D.C. to be a state, because it's 2 guaranteed blue senators. They really don't want that. I am now going to Washington, D.C. to be arrested for having challenged a corrupt, rigged, and stolen election, he said in an all-caps post on Truth Social. It is a great honor because I am being arrested for you. Make America great again. They indicted me. Hope they take his picture this time. Question, even if Trump gets convicted on at least one of the 4 cases he's got, we both know the Supreme Court is going to try to let him off the hook. What do you think will be the political fallout if they do that? Okay, I will admit to a gap in my knowledge here. I don't know how far Trump could appeal in the DC case. So he could appeal to a circuit court, right? But then if there was a retrial, what, he could go up one further? I don't know what the I don't know how far that could go exactly. Chat is so stupid, that's not how it works. Yeah, I'm not actually sure what the rules are for appealing court cases. Here. How do appeals work? This is good to know. We should find this out. The appellate court. Okay. About the U.S. Court of Appeals. In the federal system, 94 district courts are organized into 12 circuits or regions. Each circuit has its own court of appeals. Review case in the U.S. brings the number of federal appellate courts to 13. Okay. The Supreme Court of the U.S. hears about 100 to 150 appeals of the more than 7,000 it's asked to review every year. That means the decisions made by the 12 Circuit Court of Appeals across the country and Federal Circuit Court in the last word of thousands of cases. So in order for it to be appealed to the Supreme Court, the appellate court would have to accept it and then toss it up. Like the Court of Appeals has to approve the appeal. It doesn't just automatically get accepted to the Supreme Court. Appellate. Unofficial majority report raid. Hi, guys! And yet another example of my political inferiority to Sam Seder. I don't really know how appeals work, like in a court, so we're learning about that. An appellate court reviews the procedures and decisions in the trial court to make sure the proceedings were fair and the proper law was applied correctly. An appeal is available if, after a trial in the U.S. District Court, the losing side has issues with the trial court proceeding, the law that was applied, or how the law was applied. Generally, on these grounds, litigants have the right to an appellate court review of the trial court's action. Criminal case, the government does not have a right to appeal. So is there a way of knowing? Can we find out what the appellate court is or would be for his DC case? Like which group of judges would oversee it? Or is it too wide of a pool to really know? You are always guaranteed a first appeal. Subsequent ones must be accepted by higher courts. You're guaranteed the first one? So then what would the trial go to then, if not the existing judge? 4 of the 9 current U.S. Supreme Court justices were previously judges on the D.C. Circuit. John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Nice. This is for civil, not criminal. No way for it to go to the Supreme Court, to my knowledge. I thought the government can't appeal on a criminal case, but in this case it would be the defendant appealing. Trump D.C. case, what if he appeals? You guys aren't being helpful at all. Appeals court declines to rule if Trump was acting in official capacity when he allegedly defamed E. Jean Carroll. Okay. That's not really relevant to this, I don't think. Court of Appeals is authorized to review all final orders, judgments, and specified interlocutory orders of the Supreme Court District of Columbia. Court has jurisdiction to review contested case decision of minister. Trump can take it to the Supreme Court, but the court can decide to reject him, which they will. Okay, so what makes you confident that the Supreme Court wouldn't just accept the case and rule illegitimately in his favor because it's ruled by a bunch of high priests? Trump can appeal after the trial, but it's a matter of whether the appellate judges, separate people, decide it's warranted. If they decide the trial was fine, no longer need to appeal, then Trump goes to jail. The Supreme Court can't go to... Yeah, that was my impression, that the you don't get one free appeal that doesn't go through the appellate court. You still have to go through that. It can only go to SCOTUS if they have a constitutional challenge. Okay, but is that one of those rules that can be enforced by another body, or is that one of those things where it's like, you know, they don't do that, but they actually could? I'm just trying to find out how bulletproof this is, because if it's like the Supreme Court would never do that, but they technically can, then that's very different from SCOTUS does not hear criminal cases. Ever? There is only one Supreme Court criminal trial in history. Okay, so they can hear criminal cases. They just don't normally do it. This was back all the way in 1909. So they could do it. They don't try criminal cases. They can hear appeals about them. Right, so the most that could happen would be an appellate court. No, the Supreme Court would allow the appeal, or an appellate court would deny the appeal, and they'd take it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would grant the appeal, and then it would go to another court, and the whole thing would go on about again. Yeah, they wouldn't hold the trial with the Supreme Court. They don't do that there, but they would, like, could potentially rule for an appeal. That would be the end of the country. I'm not asking whether or not it's likely. I'm asking whether or not it's, like procedurally possible. Can you scamper less? What are you doing? Why is your butt hanging off the edge? Go. Good Lord. Got any plans? Just, uh-huh. Okay. For your appeals question, 2 hosts from the 5-4 podcast. Love the 5-4 podcast. I had a live chat on YouTube about the likelihood of Trump going to prison. Can we listen to that, like, purely for info? The 5-4 podcast is a good podcast. It's lawyers talking. This is an advertisement, okay? I'm doing it. I'm content stealing. Advertise. Ad. It's for them. 5-4 ad. Hello, ad. Okay, hold on. It's an hour 40. God damn it, it's an hour 40. Let me see if I can get to, like, the core info. Like, maybe they'll open with the conclusion and then they'll elaborate on it.
You know, if Trump tries to do like interlocutory appeal or whatever and tries to delay this and send it up to the Supreme Court and kill it before it even happens, I don't think the Supreme Court is going to want to make, should the Trump indictment go forward, be like the central question of the 2024 election. So I think they will be very wary to drag this out further and like let it wait.
That is a good point. Since Trump is the only Republican candidate who's capable of beating Biden, having like an interminable ongoing... Well, then again, like, if Trump loses, then that's it too, right? I mean, better to drag it out indefinitely than it would be to just send Trump to prison.
Till after the election, because then you're just sending up the bat signal to every resist lib in the country that they need to vote or Jack Smith will be fired and all these charges will be dropped.
It depends on the court's appetite, right? I think that they could, depending on the political context, see an opportunity or see something that they very much want to pass on. But the problem for them is that we're in DC, which means that we're in the DC circuit, which is liberal. Makes it a little more likely that they want to around a little bit, you know, stick their hands in there, fiddle with some stuff, see how it goes, which is so exciting. As the proprietors of a Supreme Court podcast, it's hard not to be like, ooh, that would be great. It would be great to see some shit elevated, interlocutory appeal, or even more exciting, post-conviction.
Post-conviction.
Some post-conviction appeals. Oh my God, dude. Just Sam Alito just like writing a concurrence about how much he loves Donald Trump. I would lose my mind. It would what else can you want as a Supreme Court podcast? It just
I'm taking from their tone that they think it's possible that there be meddling in this case, but they don't think there's a very high likelihood of it leading to a change in the outcome. That's what their tone suggests to me.
feels perfect. And I think that it's very likely that this reaches the court in some way. There are so many novel issues. This stuff doesn't happen. Like, yes, these charges have been brought before. People have been convicted related to January 6th on some of these charges, but the context of a president trying to execute a almost completely novel scheme to sort of like intercept the Electoral College,
Right.
It's unique, and uniqueness brings unique legal questions, and unique legal questions bring the Supreme Court. So
Yeah.
I think it's coming.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to respond to one other shitty right-wing defense of Trump, which
Okay, so yeah, okay. It seems like they don't even think it would be politically beneficial for the court to attempt to do that. Yeah, I guess. Because it would be like the bat signal for resist libs. I mean, it should be, right? Like, that's a pretty good reason to get people off their ass, you know? Trump attempted a coup, and then the court that he mostly appointed, or that slants in his direction, like, tries to get him off. Like, you know, Vosh trials won't start until mid to late 2024. None of this matters. Wait, is that wait, they haven't set a trial date for the DC charges, have they? The later trial date is for the Florida mishandling of classified documents thing. I thought that there wasn't an official trial date for this yet. Isn't the con party divided between pro-Trump and anti-Trump clans? There's not much anti-Trump. Last stream, after Artemy knocked down our potted fake plant, I did everything right and they indicted me when I caught the criminal at hand, at the crime scene even.